Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the follow-up for the Portland Open. We're trying something a little different here, going in the morning
I
instead.
felt like we're on like Good Morning America or something.
The reasoning is just, if we stayed up last night for like after FPO and then streamed this, we would have been dead.
It would have been bad, yeah.
I mean, we're on the East Coast, obviously. FPO is finishing like 10-ish, close to it, maybe later.
We need that East Coast swing on the tour.
Yeah.
Bad.
And so we just were like, you know what? We can either look at it and go live like we have before, where FPO is still in their round, or we can just go in the morning. And the morning just seemed like the better thing, because this still gives you plenty of time to watch this before or listen to this before the final round live starts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, you'll be able to get all the stories and everything that you need while still being here and enjoying what's going on. So let's go ahead and jump straight in. Sorry, Connor is not here, so I'm having to do a one-man show today. So if I get sidetracked, then, you know, that's why. But let's go ahead and jump into the course first. I think this was a storyline coming in. Just, we're at another golf course. At another ball golf course, if you will. We're at another golf course. It's a beautiful course, don't get me wrong. It's a very nice golf course. Looks like a very nice...
Oh, yeah.
It's a very scenic. To be honest with you, it's a good hybrid course as far as like disc golf on a golf course. I just think that, it to me, it's been boring.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason it's been boring is because we've already seen so many golf courses this year. I was trying to think back before this, and even after Grip Locked, like, is this like unique to 2021? Like, is this something that we haven't in the past seen? And I feel like it is. Like, I feel like we haven't seen this many golf courses early in the year before. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen this many. I mean, obviously, you know, this one wasn't even supposed to be on a golf course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the issue is there's a couple, like, obviously, like you mentioned, the golf course that they're playing on is beautiful. It's really well maintained. And it looks really great. Like, and they're in Portland, which is like a really, really pretty area. The problem is the holes are so repetitive. Every single hole, just about, it seemed like to me, you know, you have a heavy dose of like those 600 to 900 foot par fours with a couple long par threes and fives littered in there.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so basically we can make you throw out a little gap because they have these tree lines, and like people like myself even are like, well, why don't you use the tree lines more? Well, it's because they have to make these courses somewhat follow the normal course so that it makes sense. It doesn't, because that course was already designed to be a golf course that made sense, so it doesn't intersect at any point, and it loops back to itself. Like it's a continuous like way to get back to the clubhouse. So like they only have so much to work with. So what it becomes is, you're throwing out of the tree line. So, like, yeah, there might be a little gap, although most of the ones I saw, like, the gap was right in front of the tee, so they weren't going to miss the gap.
Yeah.
And then you might be throwing into a little bit of a tree scattered green, so to speak, at the end. But most of the time, they're just using bunkers and mounds to defend the course. And, like, as a course designer, you don't really have a choice, and their only defense they can use are heavy OB, which this one wasn't super heavy on the roped OB. The fairways I thought were pretty generous, but then they very much use mounds and bunkers and the golf greens as their only defense for the course. They have to make those upshots really, really tricky, because if they don't, the course is going to get destroyed. It's just going to get shredded. And yeah, I think it's just getting repetitive. We're just seeing so many, you know, rollers. I was just telling Hunter earlier, I mean, there was one hole in this entire course, it seemed like. We're like, all right, we got a shot that goes right down the tree line in the middle of the course. Like, we're going to see him get to hit a gap, and everybody throws out and around. Yeah. Not to their fault. If you're the course designer, put the Mando in. Like, make them play. If you're going to give them a chance. Now, maybe the course designer's like, no, I want to see them throw out the wide gap. But it just seemed like you got one chance to make them throw a more disc golf shot. So let's do that. I think, you know, disc golf, there's something about disc golf and wanting to see the disc miss things on its way to the basket. You want to see, like, it's cool to see.
It makes it a lot more impressive.
Right. It's cool to see those open air bomb shots, but that's like once every few holes. You want to see a disc thread a needle. You want to see it miss things, and that's how you see the accuracy of the shots. That's how you say like, oh, these pros are that good. Because right now we're saying that because they just throw far, but we've seen enough of that. Like, I want to see them have to navigate.
Well, I think that's what, like, seeing a disc hit a line and seeing a line, because you can hit a line in the open, like a flex line or something.
There's a lot more room for
Yeah,
forgiveness.
but seeing it when, like Maple Hill, I always remember that Feldberg ace. I think it's hole, what is it, 14
the
or something?
skip through the flex
Yeah.
gap there. Yeah.
That's like, you can show that to anyone and they're very impressed. If you show someone Feldberg acing a hole, but it's in the wide open doing that exact same, like if it was on this
Right.
court and he did that same flex shot, it's impressive because it went in the basket, but that's it.
Yeah.
Once you, like, that shows people how much it shapes, and I think that's something that makes disc golf exciting for everyone to watch, because that's where it separates from a lot of other sports. Is guys are throwing things 500-600 feet through tight gaps that are like very defined. Like, not only does the person have to hit the line, but then the disc has to stay on that line
Yeah.
for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of feet. That's what makes disc golf beautiful to me. That's what I love about it.
It is such
And
a tricky balance because, and especially when we talk about the future as a spectator sport, I believe that as more money gets into the sport, filming I don't really think is a huge problem, because I think as we get more cameras, like filming in the woods is already fine, and as we get more cameras, and I mean you could get to the point where we have cameras in trees on corners of dogleg holes, like I don't think filming's a problem. It's really a spectator issue.
Spectator's the biggest issue
when we play in heavy woods courses. So it's like, it's gotten to the point where the tour is almost like, if we're playing these more wooded courses and we really want to have the kind of tour event that we want to put on, there's a couple that we can use, but it's a very like cherry picked thing. Like, it has to be perfect. Whereas we play on the golf course and it's probably just miles easier for them to run and everything.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
so much open space. So I get where they're coming from, and maybe they're kind of biding their time until they can really lock down better courses. But I guess this is just a call to arms for all the course designers out there. Start making some courses that fit the Pro Tour. Maybe the Pro Tour needs to release some kind of guidelines for, like, hey, if you want to be on the Pro Tour, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want to see and what makes it easy. And then I bet you if they did something like that, if they made some kind of announcement like, hey, if you guys want to see yourself on the tour in the future and this is what we're looking for in course designers would eat that up. They'd be all over it.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't want to call this too much of a problem, because I'm also looking at the rest of the schedule, and I know that, like, this is the end of it. This is the
true.
end of the golf course stretch, and I don't know how much we're gonna see the golf course stretch, because
Yeah.
the Las Vegas Challenge, I'm just assumed every tour event right now stays on tour. Las Vegas Challenge, that's gonna be on a golf course.
And to be
kind
fair,
of
that's probably
notorious.
the best. That's probably the best one we've seen.
Well, is it, or is it because it was the first one we saw?
I don't. I just feel like whenever I think back at that event, I feel like they're interacting with the foliage on the
That's
course
also
more.
true. It wasn't a roller fest.
Yeah.
If I think back, I can think of a
Well,
few rollers being thrown.
The wind.
I think that's a big thing, but the wind's
Yeah.
always a factor in Vegas.
I even think Emporia isn't too bad either.
That's again wind.
That one has to do with the wind, but yeah, it's really been this one in Portland and then
OTB
OTB
Challenge at Goat Hill,
and Goat Hill.
which Goat Hill was the Silver Series.
Yeah,
at
I
least,
think
but-
too. If you scattered these events, I think you're right. If you scattered them throughout the year, it's just because disc golf has to tour in a way that guys can get to the events. They have to follow the country kind of. So this West Coast swing is so golf course heavy right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's got to be enough courses. I think they just have to go back and take a look. And obviously, like we said, like Portland was not supposed to be here. It was supposed to be at Milo. But yeah, I'm not a fan. Like, I don't think it's going to trend in that direction. I don't think they're trying to make it trend in that direction of golf courses heavy, but I certainly don't want it to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I think as long as we can figure out these, I think Emporia's good, Las Vegas Challenge, Wild Horse, good. If we can figure out a way for the rest of the West Coast swing to be West Coast golf, you know what I mean? Then there's no problem. We're all good. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be consistently seen. And like you were saying, if it was spread out to where it was like Emporia, then a few weeks later we had, or I guess Vegas, a few weeks later we had Emporia, and then we had like a month or so, and then we got to the East Coast, there was one. Sure, that's one thing.
Right.
Because seeing rollers is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing stuff like that, it's really cool.
Yeah.
When you see it for what feels like every other weekend for 2 months, that's when it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen a disc roll. I want to see it fly again.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
every disc rolls the same, not realistically, but pretty much. flying is where it's really impressive, and that's where I think the future of the sport and like outside spectators, outside viewers will really get entertained by disc golf. Rolling's cool the first few times you see it, but it quickly kind of gets tiring. One thing I will say as far as the course design goes is the front nine is playing a lot easier than the back nine, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I think that really is going to set up for an interesting day today. I also was looking at the course stats, and it was a little confusing to me because if you go course stats and then you sort by the average on the hole, it looks like what was I looking at here? I think I was looking, here we go.
Average to par.
Yeah, so it's looking hole 6 is looking like the hardest hole right now. Am I wrong in that? Oh, I'm on the FPO side. I was looking at
well,
hole 9.
Depends on which round are you going by?
I'm on round 2. Round 2, hole 9. Hole 9 both rounds has been the hardest hole. But if you look at the actual scores, especially from round 2, it looks like the hole that's challenging the top players the most to par per se is hole 14.
Yeah, second hardest hole, and it's pretty close.
So I think hole 9 gets skewed by the lower half of the field. Because if you scroll down there, you start seeing a lot of orange and some darker orange. Whereas 14, it seems like they're still able to par it. But if you look at the top, I would say hole 14 is playing as the hardest hole right now because there's no birdies until you get to Gavin Rathbun in 32nd. Before that, there's 31 players that have shot on either par or worse on that hole. But regardless, the back nine for sure is the spot to make a move on this course.
For sure.
Everyone's kind of tearing up the front nine, especially as we look into scores a little bit. We have Eagle sitting at 15 under, and then we have a three-way tie for second between Kevin Jones, Simon Lizotte, and Ricky. And then, Thomas Gilbert and Paul tied for 5th, Calvin Heimberg 7th. 8th, we have Austin Hannum, which we haven't heard that name in quite a while, I feel like. Nico LaCastro also tied for 8th. And we have a pretty big tie for 10th between Ben Callaway, James Proctor, Garrett Gerthy, Joel Freeman, Ty Love, and Luke Humphreys.
Yeah.
Now, in 8th place, the player I was about to bring up is Nico LaCastro because yesterday, for a decent portion of the beginning of the round, he was pushing that lead. He started off 5 down through 6 and ended his round 3 under par.
Yeah, he went cold around the middle of that round for sure.
Yeah. So that's the type of thing that you can see when you start to get towards that back nine. When the course starts to show its teeth a little bit more, you can see a player like Nico, or really, Nico's one of the top players in the world right now in general. So if it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. So to me, that's really exciting because I think this tournament's far from over. Yes, Eagle has a 2-stroke lead, but I would say down to Calvin has a chance.
Yeah, I really don't think the winner's coming off of that chase card. I think it's going to come off the lead card, but you can't write them off only because we're seeing, hot round 2 at 8 under, and there's a lot of pars and bogeys that were made.
Exactly.
So I would never write it off for somebody to come off of that chase card, especially like a Paul or Calvin, shoot 11 or 12 and pick up a ton of strokes. So it'll be interesting. It's going to require you to do kind of what Eagle did to the front nine yesterday and just tear it up and then play that really good back nine. It looks like actually the closest one, Simon had a solid back nine, but Thomas Gilbert also had a really good back nine until he bogeyed 18. He had gotten 5 birdies on that back nine. So you're gonna need a back nine like that.
You're gonna need a back nine matched up with a fire front nine.
You're probably going to need, off of that chase card, if you're a Paul or Calvin, you're going to need probably a 12 under, and then hope that the lead card kind of stays where they are.
It's definitely out there, but it's going to require some special play. Because I think one thing I wanted to look at too here is looking at this lead card. Eagle, no surprise.
Yeah.
Ricky, no surprise. Kevin Jones, you start to go, okay, but he did play pretty good last weekend.
He's making moves right now.
Simon Lizotte, to me, this is a big surprise. Not because of the player Simon is in general, but this is his second tour event back from his injury.
Yeah.
He is still not 100%. If you saw on coverage yesterday, there was a few times where the obvious shot was a forehand. Simon is throwing that forehand all the time, and yet he's going turnover mid. Elaine King was actually asking, she was wondering if this injury is going to make him a lot better player because it's going to force him to be able to throw a lot more complicated backhands where other players are just going to be like, oh, I'm going to throw a forehand.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait till he's 100% and can throw the forehand again. But regardless, old Simon, pre-injury Simon, this course, no surprise to see him up top.
Yeah.
Post-injury Simon, with how long he had to take off and the fact that he's not fully back yet, I'm very surprised to see him sitting in the position he is. He was one mistake away from being tied for the lead.
Yeah, no, Simon, I'm certainly impressed coming off of his injury to be, in contention like this. I mean, even before his injury, he wasn't necessarily in contention often. So this is really impressive. Obviously this course, is suiting him because he's just smoothing. He's throwing good drives. There's something to be said for that. He's hitting 86% of his fairways, and he's got effortless distance. So what it comes down to is when Simon has to throw into these mound, bunker, infested greens, he's tossing, his little Sky God putter and, not having to do much because when Simon's just throwing a little flex up shots with a putter, he's going to be very accurate. And you can see he was 100% C1X putting, which for Simon, you're like, wow, well, he's putting from 5 feet most of the day. So, that's what it comes down to is he was throwing close to the basket because he doesn't have to chew off as much distance. That's kind of the theme with the leaderboard in general. Obviously Eagle, excels at these courses because he throws just massive rollers and then, doesn't have as much into the green. Because that's really at courses like this, not having long distances into the green is such a ridiculous advantage because of how tricky the landing areas are.
Yeah.
Because that's, like I said, that's the course's only defense. So if you can take that away by throwing massive shots, that's just a huge advantage. I'm really impressed with Simon. I'm not gonna say this is like a sign of the future. Now I'm on courses like this. I think he's always gonna be, dangerous player. It'll be telling to see what happens. I think his game looks a little more relaxed, a little more smooth these days. I'll be very curious to see what happens once we get to that East Coast swing and start playing those wooded courses again and see what he is able to do. But I would not write him off as a potential winner. I would not.
Which sounds crazy to say, but
that would be a really cool win. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it would be certainly a great win.
Now let's look at the other potential winner. There's several out there. Eagle McMahon.
Yeah,
he is potentially looking at his 3rd Pro Tour win for this year.
Yeah, Eagle McMahon's getting scary.
Which is crazy. He went through that little stretch around Waco area where he had some back issues, and I think that caused a lot of people to write him off, myself included. But looking at it, he has a serious case for being the number 1 player in the world right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, you could say part of that is because of the swing we're on with the golf courses
right,
mixed in.
I was about to say.
It's a valid point. But regardless, Eagle's having himself a very, very solid season. And if he's able to pick up this win today and have 3 Pro Tour wins this early in the season, let's say he's able to pick up 1 more, 4 Pro Tour wins, that's incredible. A dominant season.
Yeah,
no way around it.
You're right. He's already kind of writing his script for the season. But you also have to remember that even though, when we look back at the stats at the end of the season, if we see 3 or 4 wins, we'll see, wow, he had a great season. But, you can get a little forgotten if the whole second half of your season is quiet. I don't expect that from him. But I will say, and it's one of those things this year where like we're waiting so long for that East Coast swing to see the Woods golf and just it's so different because we see a leaderboard like this shape up, so often this year. Expect like with Eagle being near the top because, it's especially with the golf courses, it's just such similar golf that like how could you expect the leaderboards to look much different at all? But I would expect as we get into the woods, you're going to see names start surfacing from the bottom of the current, like, maybe 20 to 40 spots that we're just not used to seeing right now. I'll be interested to see it because, all signs right now point to Eagle just flat out dominating this season.
Well, that's one thing, too, that we have to think about is Worlds is very early this year. We're sitting here 2 weeks away from it, I believe.
And he could have all the momentum.
Yeah, we have the Resistance Open next weekend, Resistance Disc Open. Some of the top players will not be there, probably going to prep for Worlds.
Yeah.
Eagle will be there. But then the week after that is Worlds. So if Eagle's able to already have 3 Elite Series wins, Pro Tour wins, and have all this momentum coming into Worlds, he could be looking at his first World Championship.
Absolutely.
It's also in Utah, which we know Ricky always plays well in Utah. So
I think Ricky's still the guy to beat.
it's definitely going to be an interesting one. We're going to look at Worlds a lot more in depth in the upcoming Grip Locked episodes, and obviously have a follow-up and possibly a companion stream for the final day of Worlds. So there's going to be a lot of Worlds coverage. I don't want to get too much into it now, but with how early it is this year, I think this is definitely tipping towards the Eagle, Ricky, who knows, maybe even Simon favor, where they're going to have all this early momentum coming in. Whereas a player like Paul, I feel like he always, nowadays, if you go back to 2015, he would already be dominant right now. He always seems to turn on as you get Midwest to East Coast. Once you start having that technical aspect come into it a little bit more, less just gripping and rip it and more straight mids and putters, that's when you typically start to see Paul inch his way back towards the top. That's also typically when Worlds is starting to come around, when we start to get to that August range. With it being this early this year, it definitely, I think, I don't want to say it's tipping it away from, Paul becoming a 6-time, but I do think it's tipping towards Eagle, Ricky, either Ricky becoming a 3 or Eagle becoming a one-time world champion. That's definitely something to look into as we start to progress a little bit closer to that. But I wanted to go ahead and take a look at the stats. So I'm going to be sorting this by all rounds, giving us the total picture. And this tends to be true of a lot of golf courses, but it's very true today. If you sort gain tee to green, so this stat is basically how many strokes on the average player are these players gaining off the tee, getting to the green. Gain tee to green makes sense why it's named that. If you look at when you sort by that, the top 10 players that are on the gain tee to green stat, they're all in the top 10. Now, some of them are tied for 10th because there is 15 players. So we'll just say they're all in the top 15. But to me, this stat really starts to take shape when you do the opposite and sort it by gained putting. Only 4 of these players are in the top 10, the top gained putting strokes. So to me, this just shows how much of a thrower's course this is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the players that are putting really, really well, you have some players that are 100% C1X. You have
quite a few, yeah.
It looks like 4 of them, 1 DNF. You have Mike Sale, Colton Montgomery, Brody Smith, and Matt Bell. Those players are in 19th, 40th, 25th, and 52nd because they're not getting in position for those putts to matter.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at gain tee to green, Ricky, Eagle, Joel Freeman, Garrett Gurthey, the players that we're seeing in contention, their putts, in some cases, Joel Freeman, their putts are so close it doesn't even matter because Joel Freeman is sitting here on the tournament at 29% C1X putting.
Sheesh.
Yesterday's round, 0% C1X putting.
Oh, my.
And it wasn't that he was always consistently parked. A lot of them he was. He still missed like 5 circle 1 putts.
Yeah.
But he is losing 6.3 strokes putting to the average player, 6.9 strokes inside the circle.
And he's still 10th.
And he's still in 10th place.
It's just this is the case whenever you have a course that is long par 4s and par 5s and even long par 3s. It's basically just who can get to the pin in the least amount of throws.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. But, that's why you're seeing the big distance arms. That's why you're seeing the double G up there and whatnot. This name that keeps sticking out to me that I just can't get away from is Austin Hannum, who has had to this point a dreadful season and has somehow found it this week. So I'm very curious. It looks like it's that gain tee to green stat is it's very directly correlated to finishes, and that seems to be what he's also got 100% scramble percentage. But I'm curious to pay attention. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the guy below him. That's 100% scramble. But I'm curious to see what he does today, and if this could be a little spark momentum for him, because he has really not had a good season to this point.
This is his first year playing with Prodigy. It could have something to do with that, just like trying to get used to the discs. But we're sitting here in June.
Yeah.
If you put a new bag of discs in any one of the top players' hands, I'm including Austin Hannum in a top player. I'm saying like a top 50, 60 players in the world.
Right.
They know their discs by June. They know their discs by March most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been a pretty disappointing season for him overall. It's good to see him in the top 10 again. But, yeah, it is kind of surprising to see him up there. Another person I wanted to look at, we've already talked about him somewhat, is Simon. Main reason I wanted to look at Simon is he only has 1 hole over par through the first 2 rounds at all, and that was hole 1 yesterday where he took a 5.
Yeah.
If he's able to clean that up, he's sitting here tied for the lead going to the final day.
Yeah, he's cruising. He's absolutely cruising.
And he's not really. It's not like he's doing anything crazy.
No, we didn't have to when you have that effortless distance.
Gain tee to green, he's sitting at 7, so he's losing 5 strokes to eagle on that. Gained putting, he's sitting at almost 5, so he's almost gaining 2 back. He's not really throwing OB much. He's at 93% C1X putting. He's getting up and down, 75% scramble rate. His stats across the board are just solid. He's not really doing anything crazy. Because if you look at eagle, you can at least be like, okay, I can see where he's in the lead because he's got that 12 gain tee to green. Only player beating him is Ricky, but then he's also putting really well at 94% C1X, whereas Ricky's at 88%, and Eagle's actually basically Ricky is about tied with him, gain tee to green. Eagles gain 2 strokes on him putting. Eagles up by 2. So that's when you get to the very top, putting is what separates you, but you got to be getting to the basket in order for that putting to even matter. So let's go ahead and look. I haven't no other stats really stood out to me. I do want to. I'm gonna nickname this the Dreadful Scroll. I'm gonna just scroll and see
who's in last.
See not who's in last, but see how low we get to where we're still seeing a name we recognize. Going into the final day. So I'm at 52nd.
I see your dark horse pick.
Oh, who's my dark horse pick? I don't even remember his name.
It's Tanner Gerard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Where's he at?
He's at 10 up.
Is he below yours?
I'm trying to remember. I think my guy was Kirby something, and I haven't seen that name yet.
I feel like I saw Kirby up here. The first one I see that I recognize, my
guy's +3 right now, so he's gonna shoot +20.
Greg Barsby, 52nd place, sitting at 1 over par right now.
Raven Newsom's in 60th.
Yeah, so that might be the two.
Marweed's in 67th. Earhart's in 67th.
Oh,
Emerson's in 67th.
Oh wow! So there's the victims of the Dreadful Scroll.
Oh,
jeez, what is going on out there? So they're most likely going to miss cash because there's
Emerson, man.
100 players in the field, so you're looking at top 40. They got to move up 20 places to get to cash. They got to. I mean, it's possible. They got to shoot like 5 or 6 down. Nate Sexton, 47th place at even.
It's not his course.
No, it's not by any means. He's a very more Albert Tam's in this tournament. What the heck?
Yeah.
I guess he must have come in town for Worlds and showed up a few weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting to see. So we are going to get some.
Yeah, imagine we got to be getting close to the international players being able to get back. It's got to be getting there. I don't know what the policy is still like where they are, but
I don't either. But Albert Tam's able to come over, so I would hope that would mean.
That's exciting.
I wonder if there's a potential for Evelina and Henna to be at Worlds.
Can you imagine if the Finnish women come to Worlds and just destroy everybody? Like they just go like 1, 2, 3.
I mean,
that'd be electrifying.
I kind of can't imagine.
That would be electrifying.
So yeah, that would be crazy. I don't want to talk about Worlds anymore. I want to look at what's going to happen today. If you look at Eagle through the first 2 rounds, he has fallen victim to the back 9. And by victim, I mean he's only been able to shoot a few down. So not really. But 3 down day 1. It looks like 2 down day 2. So I definitely think that today the key for Eagle to win, to hold on to this win, is going to be the back 9. And that's also going to be the key for everyone to win. It's going to be the back 9. I don't think anyone's going to really make up too much stroke on Eagle, holes 1 through 9. They might make up 1. They might be able to get to tied, but that back 9 is going to be crucial. With that being said, I think Eagle holds on to this. Someone was actually making a good point. If Eagle wins this, then he would have won the 3 Pro Tours that were on golf courses, being OTB Open, Las Vegas Challenge, and now this. So his 3 wins would be.
That's
3
why
golf courses,
I don't ever want to discredit his wins, but it's like very similar courses.
It's just the golf suits his games.
Yeah.
But I think Eagle's going to take it down today. I think that Ricky's going to make a push and end up in second. And you know what? I'm going with Sneaky Simon, holding on for a 3rd place finish. I would love to see him push towards the lead, but
yeah. See,
it's been so long since he's been in this position. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts.
Yeah. See, I think it's actually going to be close, and I think it's going to be Simon that pushes. I think Eagle is going to hold on. I don't see him losing, but I think Simon is gonna push, and it's going to come down to the wire a little bit.
I hope so.
I think I think we're going to see a little Crush Boys battle, and then I think you'll probably. You know what? I'm going to say 3rd place is Paul. coming off the
Okay.
chase card. I think either Paul or Calvin will make a move off the chase card, one of the two, while the lead card's getting aggressive and trying to win. So I'll say Paul comes in third.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, for Paul, I think it's definitely going to be crucial on that front nine. If he's able to come out,
Yeah, he's clean that up.
if Paul going into the back nine thinks he has a chance, he can shred the back nine. Calvin, I don't know Calvin's mental game too much, so I don't know what
Nobody
Calvin,
does.
Yeah. I saw him show emotion for like the first time ever.
He's starting to come out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah,
I love it.
And by emotion, I mean he forcibly put a disc back in his bag. It was electric.
That's awesome.
But in general,
I love Calvin.
I mean, I don't really know what gets Calvin going. But I know Paul, if Paul can start to taste blood through the first like 10 or 11 holes, if he can see himself within a stroke or two, then it's game time. Then I think we got ourselves a ball game with Paul. But if he through 9 holes is still 4 strokes back, I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, it's one of those events where if anybody's going to catch Eagle, they're going to have to at least keep pace with him through that front 9 because you can get discouraged, even if you know the back 9 is there for the taking, but you're already down a bunch of strokes.
Yeah.
So they're just going to have to keep pace and then make their move.
So we do have confirmation, and by confirmation, I mean someone in the chat saying, because we're transitioning to FPO right now, but we are going to talk briefly about this. We do have confirmation that at least Kristen Tatar will be at Worlds.
Ooh.
So that could definitely make things interesting. I have not gotten
Hopefully
any
all of
information about Evelina or Henna, but Kristen Tatar will be at Worlds.
Really
so
good.
That could definitely mix things up a little
Man.
bit.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So as we look at
Can't
FPO
wait.
here, we've got Paige Pierce, 4-stroke lead.
Paige is back. Shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I think right away we'll just mention that we should be looking at a
1-stroke game.
a 1-stroke. No, 2. No, yeah.
1.
Yeah, 1. Because Katrina Allen had one of the rougher 3 putts on 18 that I've seen in a while. I mean, it was an air ball from like 15 feet.
It was pretty tough.
And then I don't even blame her for missing the comebacker because after that, I wouldn't have made it
No.
either. There was a lot of wind in his elevated basket, but it was rough. So that's unfortunate because I think that literally that right there is that's too much space now for Paige. Too much space.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. So we have Paige in first, 4-stroke lead, Kat in second, Ella Hansen. Kat has a 4-stroke lead on Ella Hansen, Jessica Weiss, and Haley King.
There's Ella Hansen again.
Sitting tied for third. And then Kona Panis and Saya Nanda are sitting in 6th place, and Deanne Carey in 8th. I don't think, I mean, it's tough to imagine a world where Paige loses this, but it definitely could happen. I don't see a world where Paige or Kat doesn't win this.
I don't see where we're even. It's just gonna be Paige.
I think it
has to be.
One thing to note about this leaderboard is you're seeing the distance separate themselves. So you have Paige and Kat. We know they have elite distance. Ella Hansen, we know she has elite distance. Haley King, elite distance. Jessica Weiss, elite distance on her forehand.
Yeah.
Pretty good on her backhand
Take
as
a
well.
look. Take a look at the tee to green, and that tells the story. I mean, you just see the distance throwers are just gaining like 10 strokes on everybody else.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
Katrina Allen is sitting at 14.6. Paige Pierce at 14.3. Haley's at 11. I'm actually surprised
Kona?
Ella Hansen's down at 9. I would have expected her to be a little bit higher. This is the same story as in MPO. You see Katrina Allen and Paige Pierce basically knotted up, gain tee to green. You sort by gained putting, and you see Paige's lead, the 4 strokes.
There it is.
Katrina Allen's at 4.4. Paige Pierce is at 8.6. Paige Pierce is up by 4.
Yeah,
Boom.
really solid putting for Paige. So
Yeah,
far.
94% C1X. It's got to be the lead for the tournament.
It's very good.
Yeah, she has a 10% advantage C1X over the next person, which is Haley King.
That's incredible.
And then, you have Haley King, Holly Finley, and Jessica Weiss are all in the 80% plus, but then you have Paige Pierce at 94%.
yeah.
Let's see
Paige is
this.
as back as she's ever been.
Yeah, it's
scary for everybody else.
and she's hitting a lot of putts too.
Yeah.
She's 89% C1X yesterday with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 C1X putts made outside of the tap-in range. Because sometimes that C1X can get deceptive if
Sure.
you're just parked all day and you only have to hit one. It's like round 1 for her. Round 1, she was sitting at 100% C1X, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with 8 C1X putts made.
She is all over it right now.
Yeah, she's just putting
93% fairways
very,
too.
very good.
She's playing well. It's the only interesting stat with the FPO that I'm seeing that's like kind of anomaly is the OB. A lot of the players that are towards the top of the leaderboard, you see 5 or 6 OB strokes, whereas the reason Holland Handley and Jessica Weiss are in this event is because they've each only gone OB once, which is really, really good. That is
Well,
very,
Jessica Weiss. Oh, I'm looking at round 2.
that's very much separated from.
You
from
mean
the rest
Ella
of the field.
Hansen?
That's what I meant. Ella Hansen.
Yeah. I mean that. Some of the other players you'll see that are low on the OB are able to sneak into that top 10. That seems to be a pretty crucial stat combined. Because if you look at like Owen Scoggins, she's sitting at 10th with 0 strokes gained tee to green, 0.1. So she's losing 14 strokes to Paige tee to green, and she's down 17 overall. But not going OB has at least been able to keep her kind of in the mix a little bit, where she's in a position that she could sneak up into maybe like a top 8. She's not going to touch the top 5 because she's sitting 5 strokes back. That's going to be a very tough one for her to come back. But yeah, on FPO, we're looking at a 1-horse race with the possibility of a 2-horse race. But it's going to take.
It's gonna have to take like an early.
I want to see if the course, because the course does play different for FPO.
Yeah, a lot of different pars and distances.
But it's still looking like the front 9's easier. When I just looked at the course stats, I'll look at the round 2
It wasn't
scores.
for Paige yesterday.
No, Paige shredded the back 9. But
Yeah.
overall, the front 9 is the easier 9. So that's even more terrifying. Round 1, I think Paige and Kat both tore the course up a little bit. Both shot 9 down.
Yeah.
Round 2, I think it's just a little bit. It was a little windier out there for him.
It could tighten up, but I don't see Paige.
If Paige comes out and has a solid front 9, game
It's
over.
Yeah.
But if Paige comes out and has the front 9 that she had yesterday, and Kat is able to clean up her whole 6 performance and maybe sneak in another birdie or 2,
Yeah, it could get interesting.
then it could get interesting because going into the back 9, they might be close to tied.
Never gonna rule Katrina out.
But if Paige comes out hot, I mean, it's game over.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and look at who do we expect? What's our predictions for the top 3? What are we expecting to see here?
I think it's a pretty straightforward until you get to third. Then there's obviously a bit of a battle there. I think Paige, then Kat for the 1-2. Third, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Ella Hansen. Good distance thrower and really kind of starting to impress, in these last few events here. So I'm gonna give her third place.
Yeah, I'm going Paige wins, Katrina Allen second, Haley King third. I think that's what I predicted on Grip Locked. This course just plays well to the distance thrower that can also putt. That's not to say Ella Hansen and Jessica Weiss, they're both sitting in third right now. They could very easily stay there. We might even just see a tie for third, and we're both right, or all right. But I just think Haley King might separate herself by a stroke or 2. Again, though,
it's a formality.
Yeah, it's Paige versus Kat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what we see, week in and week out here. And it's, to be honest with you, we're probably going to see it a few more weeks. We might see it the rest of the year. We've seen it for a long time. I'm thinking maybe when you get back to the West Coast or the East Coast,
things will get more
things
interesting.
Will switch up a little bit, but
on the golf course, nobody else stands a chance really. But things will get more interesting.
Yeah,
you'll see that gap with third place tighten up a bit.
And normally this is where we do the Throw Pink Women's tracker and the USDGC tracker, but there's
today.
no tracker because this is not an event, which is very. I would love to know kind of what decides what events are on this and what's not.
And maybe they even took it off when they had to move courses. I don't know.
Because I mean,
Silver Series has had it, and
it is completely separate. Because it is Innova's deciding who what events get to qualify and things. But we've seen B tiers with it, and then
this event is presented by Dynamic Discs. I don't know if
that really plays into it.
I don't think that does because I think the DDO was a qualifier.
Yeah.
So
I would just like to see. I don't know how many qualifiers there are. I would like to see a lot of the Pro Tour events be qualifiers. But on the flip side of that coin, I kind of like the chance of you show up to that B tier Lone Star Classic and you pop off, and now you have the chance for a hometown hero type story.
Absolutely.
So I like those events kind of staying, but I would like to see the majority of them being Pro Tours. Just from the aspect of when October rolls around, you're going to want to see a lot of the top names there, which you will, but I don't know. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Foundation Follow-Up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We will not be back for the Resistance Disc Open, but we will be back for Worlds. Worlds, our current plan is to do the follow-up, and then to do the follow-up the day before the final round live, and then do a companion stream final round live, a little more laid back. Basically, the idea is you can have that tab, the one tab open watching disc golf, have the other tab open, and just be hanging out with us. And we're just going to be not really doing commentary or anything. We're just going to kind of be just sitting there and talking.
It'd be unsolicited commentary.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to be sitting there doing like play-by-play.
No, yeah.
But we're just going to, that way if an ace or something happens.
You can watch along with us.
Yeah. I don't know what I thought you said, but I was like,
Yeah.
what is he talking? Yeah, you can watch right along with us. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode and enjoyed this concept in general. We always enjoy doing it. Let us know also what you think about the new time. Obviously, if you're not able to join us live, hopefully you get the same experience where you can be fully prepped heading into today's final round. Don't forget to watch it for free live here on YouTube. It starts at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Disc Golf Pro Tours YouTube channel. We'll be in the chat. You can chill there and talk with us, and it's going to be a good time. We will see you all then.